Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcast however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. Speaking of a guy who might have been a beginner at one point, but it's hard to remember when, Rob Leatham is like the multi-time world champion, more times than anybody can count. Basically, has been shooting since he was like 12 weeks old, I think. Hey, Rob, how you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good. So you ready to give up this gig?
Well, I'm never ready to give it up. You kidding? Why would I? I was just talking, to
Jim and Michelle.
Jim and Michelle, and it's like, you still shooting a lot? Says, well, that's all I really do. And Jim was like, wow, are they hiring? He says, yeah, but it's a tough gig to get. Qualifications are pretty high. But.
Yeah, no kidding. So, all right, before we get into the new stuff, I just caught another thread online. I'm looking at this and going, really, are we still doing this? I'm thinking, wait a minute, I got Rob coming on. We'll talk about this. And this was the folks who were saying, why would anybody want to carry an unreliable old design like a 1911? They jam all the time. They're no good for anything, yada, yada, yada. And I'm thinking, well, let's see, Rob probably by himself, you probably have fired more rounds through 1911 than the next, and I'm not kidding, the next 10,000 guys bad-mouthing the 1911 design on the internet. I mean, you've been shooting 1911 since you were 12, 13, something like that?
Oh, before that, actually. But, it's funny. I came from that family, too. My dad did not like autos at all.
Oh.
His experience with autos was Lugers,
yeah,
P-38s, and Namboos. And he didn't like them. He liked Smith & Wesson double-action revolvers in specific.
Well, who doesn't? But that's a whole other deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who doesn't? So, I mean, I'm still one of those guys that likes them.
Right.
So I grew up from a side that didn't like him because they didn't trust him. And I remember the first match I shot. I came back from it, and a couple guys, I shot a revolver. A couple guys with autos beat me, and I came back, and my dad was embarrassed and said, I can't believe you let people beat with an auto. How could that happen? He says, well, because they can load about twice as fast as I can. So that's what it was. And at that point, it was still that same misconception. How can you trust in 1911?
Right.
Well, the reality is there has never been any platform of autoloading pistol that has had more development into it than the 1911. Well, it's been around for 100 plus years. But the same thing happens with any platform that gets massively popular.
Yes.
And in racing terms, they call it, you tuned it to a standstill. And people mess with the guns, and they load ammunition and try bullet designs that can't feed, and then load poor quality ammo, and then they get the cheapest magazine they can find, because a good $3 magazine for 1911 is as good as a $50 one, right? And I mean, a lot of the people that are fighting reliability problems are trying to do something with it that it can't do, which is work with junk ammo and crappy magazines. And in my experience, the guns we build today are the best 1911s that you can purchase. You can go into a store and from a number of manufacturers buy really good 1911s. But if you throw junk ammo into it, I mean, the results are going to be
and bad mags. People don't understand that they are magazine sensitive. You buy good quality mags. Now, and you do have to clean your gun occasionally, right?
I guess.
Wait. That's why you have Kippy, your lovely wife, around. No, I know she doesn't clean your guns. Not a chance. She probably has you clean her guns because she's a champion shooter too.
That's exactly what happens. I'm not a particularly good gun cleaner, but I'll tell you what, I'll never run one, any of the guns without keeping them lubed properly. I think that is an absolute gotta do. These are mechanical devices. You wouldn't run your car engine
without oil in it.
No oil in it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing, but.
So it wouldn't. I mean, and look, and you have access to everything. You got, all the wonderful polymer guns that Springfield Armory makes, and you've got, access to everything there. But if I said, Rob, you got your daily carry gun to protect your life has got to be a 1911. How much would that bother you?
Oh, that's most of the time. That's probably true. Before the Hellcat, that would have been 100% true.
Right.
As in all the time. I mean, the little 4-inch EMPs.
Oh God, what a nice pistol.
I mean, that's been my favorite for some time.
Right.
And that's a 1911 family gun. Unless I wanted a 45, it doesn't go in with those, and then it'll be a compact. Matter of fact, I have a gun that we did a video sometime back, and I just kept the gun, and that's the one I have for a compact 45.
Well, and it's interesting. You just provided the perfect transition, which is like a lot of us who are old style guys. We've been carrying 1911s forever. And then you get something like the Hellcat that comes along. And I actually had a buddy who said, well, what do you think of these? I said, oh, this guy's got Ed Browns and Wilson Combats. And, it's like lots and lots of $2,500, $3,500. I said, go shoot one. I said, really? I said, just go shoot one. And now he's got 4.
Just go shoot it. No, I know. It's and, people think we throw this stuff at them because it's just an advertising thing, but it's really not. I mean, deeper for you and me is if we're carrying a gun, the one we're going to carry is going to be the one that we trust, that we're betting our life on. And like I say, before the Hellcat, it would have always been a 1911, whether it was an EMP or a variant of a 1911, it would have always been because of the decades of experience I have. But the Hellcat, it clicks all the boxes. It's smaller, it's lighter than the 1911 that I carry, and it holds more rounds. So, man, it's just
I know it's hard. It's hard to argue against it. Okay, so now you got this new one that you just announced, the RDP, the Hellcat RDP 3.8 micro, yada yada, HEX, Wasp, all the rest of the stuff. And I'm looking at this and going, wait a minute. You know that one of my go-to guns for years has been the XDM 3.8 compact.
Right.
Just a great pistol. I mean, easy. I always felt like I'm just completely comfortable hitting targets at 50 yards with that, with my carry gun. And I'm looking at this and going, you just shrunk my gun, man.
It is. It's fundamentally, think magazine capacity wise, with extended magazine, it's the same, only it's thinner, it's shorter, it's lighter. Well, I mean, if those are the things you're going to look for as being improvement and advancement.
All right, so here's the question. Because I don't know. I haven't shot one yet. How's it shoot?
Amazing. It's funny you were talking about shooting 50-yard targets. So I just got an RDP, which is, the new one with the compensator and the installed HEX optic.
Right.
And I put about 6 or 7 clicks of right windage in it from pulling out of the box, and proceeded to hit everything I could hit on the range. I'm testing a target that's a 4-inch steel plate that on a target I'm working on, and I hit that thing the other day 100 out of 102 tries testing that target.
At what range?
10 yards. At 10 yards on a 4-inch target.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
The 12-inch target at 50 yards actually seemed easier, to tell you the truth.
All right, so we ought to back up. The Hellcat RDP, the Hellcat's been out for several years, and it's just one of these super subcompacts. It's a great carry gun and all. And now you got the RDP. What is it? What's different about it?
Well, take the same fundamental gun as the original Hellcat, and we never quit messing with them. So the RDP is an OSP model, which is optical sight pistol, which means it's ready for a direct mount for what we call our compact sight.
It's a red dot sight. Yeah.
Red dot sight. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not being clear. The optical sight, and it has an extended barrel, same slide length, and has a little lightweight aluminum comp that's self-indexing. So you just screw it on, screw it off as you like, and then putting the optical sight on it. And then it has a second generation trigger that's a little bit straighter and a little bit flatter. And to my finger feels better. And it kind of just, it's tuning it up. I mean, this isn't anything different for those of us that mess with guns all the time and change them.
Yeah, it's what you do anyway.
Yeah, it's what I would do anyway. So what we've done is made the gun easier to shoot. It's an inch longer because you have the compensator sticking forward. But normal carry, that really doesn't affect you, especially if it's muzzle straight down. However you're carrying it, and the difference in recoil is noticeable.
That's where it's going to be my next question, because when we're talking about a compensator, it reduces muzzle rise, but how much can you feel it?
I'm probably the wrong guy to ask what the percentages are, Tom, because I'm relatively insensitive to such things.
Yeah.
So when I can feel a reduction in recoil, that's a good thing, because if I feel it, other people think it's big. And if I see a slight reduction in muzzle flip, other people think it's a huge step.
Yeah, because you shot so much, you got really strong hands, and recoil doesn't bother you. But what I want to make the point to people, this is not so much about the recoil as thinking in terms of how much does it kick or how much does it hurt. This is about speed, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's about how quickly the gun. Yes, how quickly the gun comes back down on the target. What kills you, not kills you literally, but what hurts your speed is the gun flipping around and not being aligned on the target. So anything you can do to reduce flip and decrease the time between alignments is obviously going to speed you up. And for you and me, with a lot of experience in tens and tens of thousands of rounds, we'll see a noticeable difference. I would imagine somebody less, let's use experienced or skilled, would probably feel a dramatic difference in it. That's how much it cuts on the flip. But then it would, because it's a mechanical advantage. It vents the gas in a direction that helps stop the movement of the gun instead of, straight out the front, which moves the gun.
Right, and you can put it on and take it off, so you can actually do the A/B tests. How much does it help? You can shoot either way.
I did. That's exactly what I did, because I'm like Missouri, man. I got to see it.
Hey, Rob, hold on a second here. We'll come back. We're talking with Rob Leatham from Springfield Armory. You got to check that out, springfield-armory.com. It's the new Hellcat RDP. Almost nothing in terms of pistol shooting that Rob Leatham has not won, so it's always a pleasure to talk with him about guns and pistols and shooting. And, Rob, I have to share, before we get into the optics, I have to share with you, I went to a concealed carry class a week ago. It's one of those deals where you go into it and you're thinking, this will be interesting. Let's see how this goes. And sure enough, and the guy was pretty knowledgeable, but he starts talking specifically about small guns. He's directing people on what guns to get. And he was a Glock fanboy, which is okay. I mean, that's fine. But he started talking about the small pistols. He specifically mentioned the Hellcat and the SIG P365, kind of that same category. And he said, they're fine for 3 yards, maybe 5 yards. But beyond that, I just don't know if you can hit anything with those. And I'm thinking, what?
3 yards, right?
I'm thinking about the goofy stuff that we do. When we get together and start shooting guns, we just do, how far can we hit stuff with this? And it is amazing. And I actually been working with a friend of mine. I kept telling him, stop concentrating on the sights so much, and in your head start thinking trigger, because that's really where the action is.
Literally.
I mean, it really is.
It's so funny. It really is. When you said it kind of as a basic term, but it really, the action that's causing the gun to fire is the trigger pull, and that's the part we don't spend enough attention to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when people look at these little guns and they're thinking, like that guy was, that it's really, I don't know, what's the term, belly gun? I mean, is that the old term for it maybe?
Right.
That its use was the contact distance. That is either a skill limitation or a knowledge limitation, because they haven't taken them out. Because I bet, man, I'll tell you what, if we went out and we took a bet, if you give me 2 or 3 shots to get it really zeroed, because you zeros their concealed carry gun for 100, I'll bet I could hit an IPSC target or a silhouette size target 9 out of 10 times at 100 yards. Just how many times you want me to do it.
And, make it easier, let's put the red dot on it.
Oh, well, not only does it solve some tactical problems, man, it solves some vision issues for older people. And, it's on the little guns, sight radius is always a factor. And, you don't need a lot of sight radius if you can see the sights real clear. But little tiny errors in sight alignment and short sight radius guns make big differences on point of impact.
Right.
The dot just takes that out. I mean, it's no longer on the table. The barrel length, the slide length, none of that makes any difference.
No, if the dot's on the target, and if you can press the trigger without disturbing the dot, keep it on the target, bullet's going to go to the target.
It's going to hit that spot. So that's funny. I would say I was late to the game in the accepting portion of it, Tom, and maybe it came at the same time that my eyesight started failing me as I got older. But now, so I shot a match this morning. I shot a steel IPSC type match this morning at Rio Salado, and I shot my iron sight gun. And I got to tell you, every time I shoot the iron sight guns, I feel like I'm working twice as hard.
That's interesting. Yeah,
compared to shooting the optics.
And you mentioned the tactical advantage. If you're having to look at a threat, it's really hard unless you are an accomplished, experienced competition shooter to make your vision go back and get a hard focus on the front sight when there's somebody out there trying to hurt you.
Well, there's something more important to look at than the sights, and I know that there'll be somebody out there that heard that, and they're
going to freak,
rolling their eyes, thinking there's nothing more important than looking at the sights. Well, there are a lot of things that are important, and were you in a situation that's more important than the shooting competition? The technique, the competition shooters, one of the things we practice all the time is making quick focal changes from target to sight, target to sight, target to sight. Just endlessly how quick we can do that. That's one of the skills. Well, this just throws that out, that's not even necessary anymore. All you have to do is be able to clearly see your target. And that dot, if you put it on that spot, I mean, it takes away the vision issues.
And we're even bypassing, in the 2 minutes we got left, we ought to tell people, you guys are now doing red dots. You actually offer a line of red dots, right?
It's weird. We're trying to cut out the middleman from the standpoint that the optics manufacturers, they design a sight, and then we have to modify the gun to make it work, and then they have to modify the sight to make it work with our gun. So we kind of go back the other way. I said, let's do both sides of this thing. Let's make an optic that's designed to fit on our gun. So the HEX Wasp is a perfect fit on the Hellcat OSP. So that's what comes on RDP. So it's just more of an integrated system, and that's our belief in the optics, Tom, is that it's a coming thing, man. It is not a this might happen. This is a wave that's coming at you.
It's here, and I honestly, I don't. And people like me and you have been at this forever. It just seems weird to think even of carrying a red dot on your carry gun. But if you practice, and that's the key deal, is practice getting that draw and getting that alignment so it comes up and you can find the dot. It actually is faster and more accurate, isn't it? Oh,
far more. If you have to aim at all, there is nothing about the red dot that isn't superior to the iron sights. That's just the way it is. I know people are going to hate hearing that, but the reality is if you're going to aim, the red dot is better in every way, shape, or form.
And this is from a guy who has used iron sights to win every world championship that can be won practically. So, it's not like you don't know how to use iron sights. It's just that you looked at it and went, dadgummit, I hate it that I have to say this, but I think it's just better.
That's right. Otherwise, I'd be shooting a single action, trying to be a competition shooter, trying to do reloads with changing cylinders. At some point you don't fight the useless battle. The
technology is there, and if it can help you, you take advantage of it. I mean, we just had a guy call right before you got on, and he got into a deal where a guy was coming at him and his wife with an iron bar, going to crack him, and he had decided to carry Israeli carry. Fortunately, he was able to get his gun out and rack the slide and get the light on him. He had a surefire light on him, stopped him. But my point was that, that you weren't really thinking clearly, because what if this guy had gotten to you and you held your arm up, your left side arm, and he broke your arm? Now how are you going to rack that slide? It's just one of those deals of when you start thinking through it, you go, oh, yeah, I guess that does make sense. So
we're not doing those things because we don't want to.
we find out what works. Well, this is terrific. All right, Hellcat RDP. You got the HEX Wasp, the whole line of red dot sights from Springfield Armory. I would direct people to the Springfield Armory website, springfield-armory.com. Rob, thank you so much for this, and I look forward to getting together with you, man. It's been a little while since we've been able to shoot video and shoot guns.
Yeah, it's time we get back. Next time, 22 high power. That's our next thing. 22 high power and a Savage 99. That's our next one.
You are just as weirdly gun geeky as I am, I swear.
Oh, man. Thanks for having me,
if you look in your closet, you'll probably find 2 of them back there you didn't know you had.
I hope so.
Take care, Rob. Rob Leatham from Springfield Armory. Always fun to have on.